Any second now. Hello, authors. Welcome to Self-Publishing Insiders. Whether you're just starting out or you've been around the self-publishing block a few times, we're so happy that you've joined us today. My name is Jim Azevedo. I lead the marketing team here at Draft Digital, and it is my privilege and honor to welcome to the show Joel Wildsmith.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
I can't wait to get into this. We have a lot to talk about. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of print on demand for authors, which is right in Joe's sweet spot. I'm really excited to get into it. So for those of you who don't know Jo, she helps authors turn their manuscripts into something truly exceptional, polished, professional, and ready to make an impact, using print on demand in particular to its fullest extent. Now, backstage, I mentioned to Jo, and I'll mention it now to all of you, in previous episodes, we talked about research out of the Pew Research Center here in the US. They have done research on American reading habits, and the last report was published in 2021, if I remember correctly. They just announced an update this morning, and so some very timely news. What jumps out from that report is they say, quote, print continues to be the only book format used by a majority of Americans. Roughly 2/3 of adults say they have read a physical book in the past 12 months, according to the survey. I think they initiated the survey in October 2025, and the results are out today. But to put that in context, people are still reading ebooks and audiobooks, and both of those formats are still growing. I think the takeaway with that is that print still remains the preferred format for a lot of readers. Would you agree, Jo?
Yeah, I absolutely would. And it's interesting that's a US study, but generally, like all around the world, I'm finding this as well. I have an author who recently launched with us, and her audience is mostly in India. And my initial reaction was, oh, the ebook would be perfect. And she's like, well, actually, because they haven't all got phones that are perfect for reading ebooks on, they prefer to have a tangible copy in their hands. And there is always this whole feeling of when your book arrives, you pick it up and you sniff it.
Oh, of course.
And you can't get that off your Kindle. You just can't.
It's so interesting though, because I would think, you see pictures of India, especially the technology centers, and you just see everybody with a phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It surprised me as well. I mean, that was my first reaction was, great, okay, it's already live as an ebook. And she said, no, it's very important that we get it out there as a print book. Also, there's it's to be able to walk around holding a book is seen as something as well. It's seen as that you're actually, this is me and I'm reading this book. So there's more to it from that point of view too.
Absolutely. So just like I say every week, I've written down way too many questions. So I'm going to try to get through as many of them as I can. We don't have to stick to that.
I talk a lot as well.
If there's something that you definitely want to touch upon, let's do that. Because I know we should also touch upon merchandising as well. But I want to jump in by starting with, you kind of describe yourself on your website as print on demand obsessed, POD obsessed.
Yeah.
And you've been at this for what, like 15 years now?
Yeah, I have. So what happened? My first foray into print on demand was books. And then I sort of went through merchandise and went full circle and came back to books, and still with a little bit of merch on the side, because I was going through a messy divorce and I needed an outlet, a creative outlet. And I would never in my life have called myself creative. I'm dreadful at art. Poetry's disaster. So I would never call myself creative, but I started writing and I needed somewhere to put them. So I started putting them on as ebooks. And then suddenly I realized I can make these actual tangible physical books. And that feeling, that was a huge shift for me. And so I went into it not even knowing that print on demand was a thing, just like, oh, press that button and see what happens.
Interesting.
And
Was that
then
around, I'm sorry to interrupt you, was that around, like, say, 2014-ish, around that time?
yeah.
Okay.
So I did a good sort of 5 years of ebooks, and then got onto print books as soon as the print books were available, basically. So
And you just kind of did you just kind of stumble across, so you used
yeah, I
writing
was
as your
uploading.
outlet?
I was uploading my ebooks, and I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, this is new. What's this button do?" Like you do. And then I was like, "Oh, well, I'll have a go. Oh, look, a cover. Oh gosh, where do I start with that?" And it just grew, and I couldn't believe how easy it was to, and obviously the world's a much more competitive place now, but how easy it was to get something up there, to bring something into the world, to give birth to something, if you like,
Sure.
and then people all over the world are buying it, and suddenly I'm getting royalties from Japan and lots of different countries, and somebody is reading something I've written,
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's ebook or print. At that point, it's just that thrill that you get. So when I discovered you could do it with products as well, it was like all my Christmases had come at once, and suddenly I was getting more creative, and I was designing things, and most of the things I sell are slogan based because I'm the Wildsmith wordsmith. I'm not an artist, as I say, but just to know that people all around the world are wearing things or drinking out of things, or even with teddy bears cuddling things that I've created. I mean, how weird and how incredible.
It's
And
wonderful.
I've got businesses that people, wouldn't know about because I haven't got a printing press. I haven't got a basement full of t-shirts or hoodies or anything sitting there waiting. Haven't invested thousands of pounds or dollars in stock. Because don't need to. You don't need to anymore.
That's where the magic starts. Let me stop you for a second because
That's a
I'm
question.
curious how many books you had, that you had already completed before you started, creating physical books from them. And
Ooh,
secondly, did I read on your bio, or on your website rather, that you're still earning royalties from some of those first books
yeah,
that you released as print-on-demand
absolutely.
books? Okay.
Absolutely. Because as I say, once I did 38. I can't remember exactly where the crossover was because some of them I went back and then did as print books. So
Did you say 38 books?
yeah,
Wow.
because I got a bit carried away, like you do. And then because I am that kind of person, I jumped over and started
You
teaching.
really used it as an outlet, I'm gonna say.
Pardon?
I said you really used your writing as an outlet then, going back to
Yeah,
print.
absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's amazing what it brought me as well, because it didn't just bring me the books
Mhm.
and the products. It also, I then went on to teach people how to do print on demand, and we still, my colleague Marie and I still have a company that does that, but we keep it very, very low cost for people on purpose, because there's no reason we want the whole idea of print on demand to be that it's a low barrier to entry. All you need to have is time. It's so important. Otherwise, it just becomes the same as trying to start any other business that you've got to have a major investment for.
Yeah, that's a good segue into this next question that I had for you. So when you started releasing these books, what gap were you seeing in the market that made you think, "Hey, there are other authors out there that might need me to exist. I can help them get their books." What
That
gap
was
were
a
you
very
seeing?
slow process. That was a very slow process. So I went
Mm,
full circle. So I was doing my own books, then I
mhm.
went into merchandise, then I was helping people with their merchandise and teaching them how to do it, how to go on sites like Redbubble and things like that, and Amazon Merch on Demand, etc. Not the problem really was that I was spread too thinly. I was trying to help people with every site going, and of course there are hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands now, of print on demand merch sites. So it's very hard to be an expert in everything.
And when
So
we say print on demand merch sites, I wanna just be super clear. We're not talking about just print on demand for books. We're talking like
no, we're talking
T-shirts, mugs,
deck
pencils, like
chairs, watch straps, all sorts of things, all
okay.
kinds of crazy things.
'Cause I think a lot
However,
of authors don't think about that.
no, no.
Okay.
However, so I came away from books and I wasn't writing, and I sort of lost heart in the writing for a bit. Meanwhile, every month, still getting the royalties in from all these random places. Fantastic. and then and then got a bit obsessed with the products. And one of my friends that I did a product line for, helped her to do a product line, is a writing coach. And she said to me, I really want to start doing books for people, helping people with their books, but I don't know how to do the tech side. And I'm like, oh, it's like riding a bike. And got straight back into it. Obviously updated my knowledge a little bit, got straight back into it. And that was sort of 3 years ago. And the rest has been history, really. And now I've branched out on my own because I wanted to specialize really into making really beautiful things rather than just popping it on a particular website and walking away. It was important that people got the gold foil if they want it, they got the ribbon if they want it, they get the really beautiful like coffee table books, as well as their basic paperback, their basic hardback, and their ebook.
I love it how when you start walking down a certain path, how the universe just kind of has a way of putting people in your path to steer you where you need to go.
Oh, incredibly so. And it felt like teaching people print on demand was quite difficult because I was constantly having to explain what print on demand was and how it worked. And yet somehow, for some reason, when you do it with books, people get it. People just get it. People just understand that they buy a book online and a couple of days later it arrives. And without even thinking about the mechanism behind that, they know that there isn't a warehouse 15 miles away from them that's got a whole stack of those books in. They know it's printed. Not always. Some people don't even get that far with thinking about it, but it's not that big a leap. Whereas when you're talking about t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, all of these different things, people find it harder to add it. I don't know why, but they find it harder to make that connection. So I was forever having to teach people what it meant, how it worked, what it meant. No, it's not too good to be true, because that's the thing. I guess that's it, because with a book, you've spent all this time writing it, so you feel like there needs to be some payoff. Whereas when you're putting a design on a t-shirt, that takes 5 minutes, and then it's like, I can't, must be more to it. There's got to be something else I'm not doing. And really, there isn't.
That's a good point. Again, because I think a lot of us don't even think about that, how easy it would be. I remember back in my band days, I keep mentioning that on the show, but it was kind of a big deal. Like, you had to have a t-shirt printed, and the first time you see somebody else wearing your thing, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And there's so many elements to it. Like, you can do it as giveaways. So for an author, it's absolutely fantastic because you can do it as a prize for if you're doing a launch or something and you want to have a prize. You could do it as, even for things like your band, you could have like your VIP people that have a particular t-shirt, like their t-shirts in black because black's cooler, and then everybody else in white. Oh, there's all of these things, all of these different variations you can do. The other thing you can do is you can test the market. So particularly if you're an author and you're thinking about doing merch for the very first time, then you might be thinking, oh, I've got a range of fantasy books. I'd love to do something like mugs for my fans and put the cover of my books on them, but I don't want to invest loads of money into getting that done. So you can test the market with print on demand. You can just set them up on a print on demand site, try them out, or have your own, or through your own website, try them out. And if they sell and if it goes well, you haven't lost loads of money, and there aren't loads of mugs with a book cover going in landfill.
So it's low risk, is what you're saying. It's low risk to try these things out.
Low risk. It's better for the environment because of that. And also, I'm not flying my books across the pond.
Yeah.
So a printer in America prints the books that people buy, which is where most of my market is.
Okay. Wanted to skip ahead a little bit here. Let's see. We talked about the Pew Research study as we kicked off this call. And yes, I'll just repeat it in case anybody showed up a little bit late, because this is going to lead into my next question. So I just wanted to repeat that the Pew Research Center just released new data this morning, I think it was, or maybe it was earlier this week, showing that roughly 2/3 of American adults read a physical book in the last 12 months. It's still far ahead of ebooks and even audiobooks. So as someone who lives and breathes print on demand, from what you said earlier, that number doesn't really surprise you. Is that fair to say?
It doesn't surprise me. And there's there's so many people that have so many different views about books as well. I mean, for me personally, I buy both. If I'm going on holiday and I want to read a book, I will generally have either the 2 out of 3, basically, either an audio book and the print book, because sometimes I want to be on my sun lounger just reading, and I want everyone to know I'm reading, and I don't want anyone disturbing me. I want to be holding the book. Other times, I just want to be able to shut my eyes and have my earbuds in and not have to do the physical thing. And sometimes I can be on a plane and I'm sitting next to somebody and they're trying to talk to me. So I'm like, get your book now, or put your big headphones on. So there's different times that different things are suitable. In bed, I'd rather read on like a Kindle so that I can have it really dull and don't keep my partner awake and things like that. My partner hates reading. He loves to get the knowledge, and he loves stories. He's crazy about stories. He loves really big, thick, long books, but he doesn't like actually physically reading. So what he does is he'll listen to something on an audiobook, and he will listen like 30 times the same one. But then when he loves the book, he buys it so he can have it on our bookshelf.
I do the same thing.
We've got bookshelves stacked of books. Yeah, the pages have never been opened because they're there because he loves that book.
Yeah, and it's amazing how our minds work when you listen to an audiobook and then you also read it in print. Like it's weird how when you're listening to the audiobook, your brain can almost see the words on the page from what you read already. It's kind of freaky. But where I was going with that is I wanted to ask you, so for the indie author who's tempted to just go digital, maybe only because it's easier, what's the real cost of leaving print off the table?
You're leaving money on the table, obviously, and it's never really been easier because more and more companies are doing print obviously as well as digital. So it's never been easier, and it's kind of a why not situation.
Okay.
It's one of those things, and as I found with those first books that I did, they were sitting there. They may as well be working twice as hard for me. Why not? With audiobooks, I would say, because obviously you've got to actually do quite a lot more work to actually get it recorded. But ultimately, I want all of those 38 on audiobooks and all of the ones that I'm going to be writing once I get around to it,
Yeah. I do remember in the early days of self-publishing when there were some authors, it depends on, I guess, the genre that you write in too, because I've heard the argument from some of our authors, best-selling authors, who've said, well, hey, I'm selling 10 ebooks to every one print book that I sell, or in some cases 100 ebooks to every one print book. But as you're saying here, that I've heard from you a couple of times now, look, there's no reason not to. The barrier to entry is basically nothing. It's almost risk-free. Print is different. There are a little bit of costs with printing out the author copies, and
yeah, there are. Not every company makes you do an author copy. You don't necessarily have to do an author copy. I would say or if not as author copy mode, but buy one anyway, because you want to see how long it takes. You want to feel that customer journey, that customer experience. You want to feel the book exactly as the customer gets it. You want to see what is wrapped in. You want to see all of those things. And obviously, we've all had deliveries from Amazon and things like that. So that's not so much of a mystery. But it's when you're going for different ones, like, for example, the ones we do where you have your own website, you're getting it through a different channel. So you want to know what it looks like when it arrives. And you want to make sure that it's exactly what you want it to be. Because there was a company with print on demand, I shall mention no names, but there was a company that when you asked for a sample, they sent a really gorgeous, perfect print that they were really careful doing, but then the customers weren't necessarily getting that level of service. It wasn't checked so much and things like that. And so be cautious about things like that. Pretend to be a customer.
Okay, that's great advice. That's a good segue into kind of the next section of the conversation that I want to get into, and that's about how print on demand actually works. There's still some confusion about what print on demand actually is. So can you bust the myth that print on demand means lower quality? and explain how the model works for someone who maybe is just considering it for the first time, who's never done it?
Yeah, I usually have a great graphic for this with cartoons and things. I shall try to emulate it.
Okay.
So basically, all you do is you prepare everything beforehand. So you get, would you like me to talk it through as a product or a book? Because it's the same principle. Book. Okay. So you have your manuscript, you get your manuscript ready, and you format it in book shape, how you want it to be. And very often, most of the time, that same book shape you can use for both your ebook and your print book. Obviously, if you're doing different size print books, so you're doing a 5.5 by 8.5 paperback and a 6 by 9 hardback, then obviously you've got to format it to different sizes. There are lots of wonderful software out there, formatting software out there. So that's not as hard as it sounds, because when you say it like that, you can be thinking, oh, because that was a bit scary at first, but it's not. And you can even do it in Word and things like that. It's not that hard. But I can do it. I'm a nana. I'm a granny. I can do it. So anyone can do it. So you get it ready. You get your cover ready. The site that you're uploading to will give you a template for the cover, so you get the size right. Everybody's there to help you. They all have support. Everyone's there to help you. There's guidelines all the way. And then you go on, you upload your stuff, you put everything in all the little boxes. And it's important to make sure you're putting the right information in. But there's YouTube out there. There's a whole world out there. There's me and there's you, and there's people like us that are there to help. And so you make sure you put your categories right, you put your keywords in, all of the metadata, all of this, get your title right, get your subtitle, your name, all of these things. Use a pen name like I do, just so that the people you live with can't see what you're writing. So, so get all of that information in, press upload, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's it. So you've done your upload, and what happens is every site will check it and make sure it's okay.
And you can check it too as the author. Just
you can check it too.
make sure the boundaries are okay and formatting.
Yeah, absolutely. But they won't let you put something really awful out there. So if, for example, you missed out half a book full of pages, they are going to come back to you and say, oh, this isn't right. So they will ask you to review it and keep going back. Yes, sometimes, especially with AI, some of the thick books that are being generated might be a bit rubbish or a bit exactly the same as a book with a different cover and things like that. These are all problems within the industry, of course. But yeah, the upload isn't okay and it won't let me fix line up. Okay, that's a technical question for you, I think. But it's generally every shop out there, every retailer out there, every distributor wants their customers to be satisfied. They want their customers to come back and buy more books and things like that. So it's in their interest to make sure the things that you're putting forward are good quality. So
absolutely.
So what happens is people go on to the various websites, and also obviously you can sell in bookshops as well. Not necessarily that easy or straightforward, but you can. So people will go onto the website, they buy it. Once that button's pressed, the distributor jumps into life and they start printing it. And they've got all the machines, but rather than the machines that you would have if you were doing it at home yourself with a stapler and a pair of scissors, they've got really high-tech, amazing equipment that can knock up a book very, very quickly.
So that reader is getting a high quality,
send it out,
professional grade.
100%. And this is the same with products as well. This is the same with a t-shirt company, a print-on-demand company that's doing t-shirts or hoodies or whatever. I can't, because I tried, possibly emulate that with a little heat press that I'm doing at home. I just can't get the same quality. So yes, they get it out and they send it, but they don't. Here's the crucial part. They do not send it to me to send it to my author, to my recipient, sorry. They send it directly to the recipient, which is why it's so much better. Because if somebody in America presses the button, because I'm in London, by the way, but if somebody in America presses the button and buys a book in America, the order doesn't come all the way over to me for me to then produce and then send it over to them. We don't need to do that bit. It can be printed in a distribution warehouse in America.
That's an important point to make. I think there's still a little bit of confusion out there among some authors about what print on demand means when it comes to distribution. So what you're saying is a customer could go to their local bookshop and ask that store owner if this particular book is available on their store shelves. The store owner will look through their catalog and say, no, we don't have that, but because it's on print on demand, well, we have that catalog, we can order it for you. And then they can
absolutely
yeah.
And they order it in and they get it on the shelf there for you, or obviously keep it out the back for you. So yes, I mean, that's obviously not what we're really talking about today, but yes, that is possible too. So the whole thing with print on demand is that we're not flying things all over the world anymore. We just don't need to. And yeah, there might be areas of Europe, for example, where it's the next country rather than the next state or the next city, but it's still the next country. It's still not halfway around the world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to bring up a quick question here from the audience, if you don't mind. This from Layla Bell VT. Layla Bell, thank you for your question. She always asks good questions.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Layla Bell.
Are there things to keep in mind in setting up a manuscript for print?
Yeah, and every single place that you're going to upload it to, they all seem to have their own rules, but there are basic things. Now, what I would do, I for example, I'm a big fan of Atticus. I use Atticus formatting software. So if you're going to something like Atticus or any other formatting software, it will give you guidelines and there'll be templates that you can use. So generally though, think about what you like to read as a reader. So for example, don't make your font too small, because I hate to pick up a book and it's got really tiny squinty little font, and I spend most of the time trying to read it without really ingesting what the book's about. And then there's all sorts of obviously things like making sure your spellings are good and things like that, because I don't know about you, but if you read a book that's got bad grammar or bad spellings, you're so busy proofreading it for them that you don't end up taking in what the book's about.
Yeah, that doesn't last very long for me. I'm just okay, next.
No, yeah. I fed up very quickly.
Okay.
So yes, so I would definitely use the templates that these formatting tools offer.
Yeah, and they're super easy. And again, you can check the formatting before you click publish or distribute.
Yeah, you can get a preview as you're going along, so you can see where things sit on the page.
Okay. Yeah. Quick question from Guillaume Maurice, 3503. Guillaume, thanks for this question. Shout out to you. Question is, do you collaborate with authors who go through D2D print?
Well, my role really is that they bring the manuscript to me, and I turn it into a book. I do the formatting and the uploading, and we publish wide. So we, at the moment, we publish, Jim will hate me for this, we publish to Amazon, and we go through Ingram Spark for print, and we go through draft to digital for ebooks. So because the print is quite a new thing still, isn't it? So I will be having a look. And also depending on the author and depending where the what their specifics are, like for example, the lady with India published drive was particularly suitable for her. So for example, we monitor it and tailor it towards what the client wants, really.
Sure. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like hardcover, color interior, those are things that D2D print doesn't quite do yet.
Absolutely. And we do offer a coffee table version of the book.
I was going to ask you about that next.
The big swanky ones. And we love to be able to offer all the bespoke custom features. And we do those through Book Vault.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Because Book Vault in the UK particularly, the quality is just incredible.
Yeah, good people over there at Book Vault. They do great work.
Yeah, they do. And they're not that far away from me.
Let's switch gears here a little bit and talk about print on demand as a business strategy. So you have strong sales and business background, and you frame print on demand as a sort of a passive income vehicle.
Yeah,
Can you
that's
walk us
it.
through that financial logic?
Passive income is such a horrible term, isn't it? And I must stop using it because nothing is passive.
Sure.
Even marrying a rich man is not passive because you still have to actually
Well,
talk to
maybe
them
you
and be
actually, you
nice.
know what? Define it then for like what we're talking about.
So passive, in inverted commas, for this is there is work up front. It does take time. You do have to invest some time. And
Mhm.
of course, time is that one commodity that we can't get back. So yeah, it is precious. So put your time in, get your store set up, and there are obviously places that will do these for you, companies like, like we've talked about, that
Mhm.
will do it for you, but get set up. And then it's just a case of doing the uploading. And then once those products there, they're working for you. And you can make it as passive as you want from that point onwards. So for example, I could run adverts, and if I run adverts to my stores, my print on demand stores, or my books, then I'm not being so passive, obviously, and that's costing me money. However, if I'm not doing anything at all, people are still buying them. Not as many, obviously,
Mhm.
because they aren't as aware they're out there, but they're still buying them. And those orders are still coming in, and those royalties are still coming in from all over the shop,
While you
all over
yeah.
the world. And apart from getting a little thrill and getting a little ka-ching every time I get an order through, which is
Mhm.
great from certain websites, apart from that, it's money that I've forgotten doing the work. So although it takes the time to get it set
Upfront.
up, you
Yeah.
very quickly, it's like having a baby, you very quickly forget the pain part because you see the reward part. So yes, passive, but not at first.
Okay. Okay.
Disclaimer.
That makes sense. Let me bring up another question here from the audience. I think this one is an important one.
Mhm.
Peter Brickway 3204 asks, print on demand. Sometimes I have seen what seem like ridiculous prices on major bookseller sites for books at DDD prices at a reasonable price. For example, Drafted Digital $15 in US dollars, online bookseller $60
Yeah.
in US. Why is there a discrepancy there?
Well, sometimes it's
Third
down to
party
the person
sellers?
themselves. Yeah, sometimes it's down to the individual themselves. So I have known people who they want to make a lot of money per book. I'm going to sneeze, sorry. They want to make a lot of money per book. However,
You're
they
allowed to sneeze if you have to sneeze. It's okay.
yeah, it went. As soon as I touch the end of my nose, it goes. That's
Okay.
like my tip for life. I don't know why that
Like
happens.
it
It'll
is.
come back in 10 minutes. But the yes, so I've seen books that I think, why have you priced that at 55, 60 pounds? Why? Why have you done that? And that's just their preference. They've done that. They don't need to do that. So there are print costs, obviously, and there are different companies, different print on demand companies there are a range of print costs in those companies. So you will find that there are some companies that are quite expensive and that you might only end up making like 50p royalty per book if you're not careful, if you don't keep an eye on the pricing, especially globally. But mostly it's the person themselves putting a lot on there because they think this is very specialist. I'm probably only going to sell 10 copies. I may as well try and make 50 quid a copy.
Mhm.
They're going for higher reward per sale rather than trying to get more sales. Now, arguably, as an author and a reader,
Mhm.
I like the idea of knowledge and the spoken word being shared and of getting it out there, so you're not doing it at ridiculous prices and you're not holding people back from being able to buy your books, being able to get that knowledge if it's a non-fiction book, but also get that entertainment if it's a fiction book. So I don't like to overprice things, but people do.
Okay. Do third party sellers also come into play with that? Like in different marketplaces where
Yeah, so there are aggregators,
Mhm.
like Draft Digital that will when you put your book price on, a little bit of that goes to the aggregator, a little bit of that goes to the whichever company, whichever print-on-demand company, of course, everybody has to have their slice of the
Well, I
pie.
meant like specifically like at Amazon, sometimes there are other third-party sellers and they have
Oh,
the
yes.
option
Yeah.
of
No, I
raising
hate
the price.
that. I hate that, but it does happen. I can put a book on and then, yeah, I can go, because when we launch for our authors, I do a
Mhm.
check and check all around the world and see how the sales are going and keep an eye on it and let them know their rankings and everything, and let them know how many books they're selling and all of that. And then you see, we have another version for sale for 70 quid. I'm like, oh, that's so cheeky. And it is a third party just trying their hand.
Yeah. And
Trying their hand.
sometimes you try to unpublish a book, but it was still visible on the site because a third-party seller still has it visible.
Yeah, which is awful. But it's there are always going to be problems, and there are always going to be things that if nasty people or tricksters want to find a way to do it, there will always be that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yes, the print on demand. I see what you mean. The print on demand sites try and keep on top of things, and I'm sure you do, and I'm sure it's something you've probably got somebody on all the time trying to keep ahead of the
Oh,
game.
that can be a whole other podcast topic, but yeah, we won't we won't go down that path about the scammers and exploiters. But
Yeah, you just
Peter, I hope that helped to
yeah.
answer your question somewhat. Um, Next question here. You have a direct sales option through your Linea service.
Yes.
Why would an author, want to do that direct sales alongside wide distribution? So walk us through that. Why does that make sense to do that?
It's kind of a control thing. It's kind of a control thing. It's nice to be in control of your own playground
Yeah.
sometimes. And the way we do Linnea is we do it through a warehouse. We have so all of those things I said about print on demand being printed in the place in your back garden nearby, as actually our warehouse is in Belfast, which is just one warehouse because we're not that big. Maybe one day we'll have them all over the world, but it is in Belfast. And there, people can buy a stack of their books and send them to us. We don't print them. So buy a stack of their books through whichever, and let's face it, if they're printed wide, it's very plain and very clear. They can see which ones are going to give them the cheapest author copies. So they can buy their author copies, send them to us, we store them, and then make a website for them. And then when people buy the books from the website, they are sent out, and this means that they can have bespoke packaging. They can send us signed books. They can send us little cards to put in with the books, and they can also go for Linnea Plus, which means that they could have a T-shirt or a hoodie or a mug, because
So
the
there's like a
warehouse
bundling
is a
option.
print-on-demand facility. It's
Oh, that's
so
so cool. So
and
it helps out that author just kind of create that tighter bond with their fans.
absolutely. So it means that they get, when somebody places an order, crucially, they're their client, they're their customer, they're not ours. So with a print on demand site, usually most print on demand sites, they retain all the client information, all the customer information, their email addresses, things like that. So they can't be on your email list or anything like that.
Mhm.
Whereas with this, they're your customers, so their information is for you, obviously complying with things like GDPR, but their information is yours. They are your clients. If you want to send them an offer out, if you want to send them a Christmas card, whatever, that is up to you, because that's your information, rather than getting from a print on demand site, somebody in Japan just bought your book.
Yeah.
So,
This is so cool. You've got the wheels spinning in my head. You've got a 9-month launch program, correct? It's called Chapter 9.
yeah.
You've got me thinking about all of this stuff because, like, let's say I have a book that I'm writing and I want to release it, and I've got, I don't know, maybe another 12 months, maybe another 9 months, but I want to get my street team involved. I want to get beta readers involved.
Yeah.
And then how can I entice my fans to help me? And I could do these little releases all the way up, and I can reward my fans. I can
Yeah.
reward my street team, the beta readers, all of them by these different little gift opportunities.
Absolutely. And if you think about something like a crowdfunding campaign, a Kickstarter campaign,
Hmm.
our good friend Dale has recently done one, and that you can do things like at every level, as you say. You can have things like, oh, a keyring that, yeah, you've earned this, or right up to, it doesn't have to be small value things, it can be up to really high value things that, but don't just go to the shop and just buy them something. Give them something branded. You're creating your author brand, you're telling your author story, and you're creating a movement. So you want to keep on point, and you want to keep on, whether you're putting like a quote from one of your books, or whether it's just the title of your book, whether it's your cover, because the printing techniques these days are so incredible. You can match the standards. So one thing that I've done before is when I've gone to events and I've been, for example, a sponsor at those events, and I get to put something in the goodie bag, we have these little notebooks that we make look like, so if it's a book launch, that look like the cover of the book, and it's a little notebook and it's got a little pen that goes down the side. But how gorgeous is that?
Hmm.
So you go to a book launch and you open the goodie bag, and usually you get stuff, and then you open it and there's a miniature version of the book. I mean, how
That's pretty
special?
cool. But where in the launch process does print fit in? Is it like, should it be figured in like from day one? Like when you're thinking about your launch, when that release date's going to hit, does print go into the strategy early, or is it something that authors can put off?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, at the moment in chapter 9, we've got it quite late. We've got it for post-launch. There's no reason why you can't do it pre-launch, but we've got it as post-launch, partly because people want to see sort of their royalties starting
Mhm.
coming in and things like that before they invest any more money or time into their book project. However, I would say, especially if it's sort of like your second or third book, and they say like the sweet spots around the third book, don't they? So when you get to like your third book, you're starting to get fans. You're starting to get people who would really relish this stuff.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I just want to show this quick comment from Nigel out there who says, "I need a mug with my
Yes,
Oliver's
you
voice
do.
cover printed on it." I
Yes,
mean,
you do.
need.
Can you imagine?
Go,
Can
Nigel.
you imagine? A romance book, a romancy book. Can you imagine with like the hero on one side and the villain on the other and things like that?
You know, I've seen T-shirts in the airport from Taylor Swift fans, Swifties, walking around with like, a song lyric on their sweatshirts and whatnot.
Oh, once you go down this rabbit hole, honestly, you'll never come out of it.
It
Now,
sounds
I
like
bet you
it.
this evening you'll be thinking, "Oh, that'd be great on a T-shirt."
Yeah.
You just
Um,
can't help yourself.
what's one thing about print on demand that you wish every self-publisher knew about, but almost nobody does?
Oh, just don't treat it, it's not the Field of Dreams thing. Don't treat it like book publishing in general. Don't treat it that do it and put it out there and it will come. You do need to tell people about it. You do.
Right.
Yes, I know I've got books that I never mention now and people still buy them. But if I wanted to, if I wanted to talk about them, more people would buy them. That's how it works. Nobody's going to buy something they haven't heard of. So if you really want the results, yeah, you are going to have to talk about it. And whether that means putting ads out there or blitzing your social media or wearing that t-shirt yourself, then do it.
Yeah, it's Layla Bell just mentioned in the comments that having your own merch is a surreal feeling, she says, and it's
Yeah,
even more surreal when you actually see somebody wearing your merch. It's like, what? That's
it's like a level up. And
it's weird.
if it's something you're very close to, like when you write a book and you get very close to it and it means a lot to you,
Yeah,
that is a real moment.
absolutely. Um,
My slogan stuff, not so much, because they're just like, yeah, they found it funny, great. But yeah, the stuff that matters to me and that means a lot to me is like, wow, that's really, it's like a vindication.
yeah. Um, eh, what's the single biggest mistake that you see authors make when they approach print on demand for the first time?
Biggest mistake. Um, I guess I guess probably just being too narrow, only putting it in one place,
Mm.
only doing a paperback when you could very easily do a hardcover as well. It's only a little more work for long-term reward. So maybe just being a bit too narrow, perhaps. But sometimes that isn't a mistake. Sometimes that is testing. Sometimes that's trying things out. Sometimes that's all you want to do. I mean, I again, talking to a different client, their world is ebooks. So for
Yeah.
them, something like print on demand is just like noise. So different strokes for different folks, obviously. But yeah, I think just be open to what is possible and not think like, especially over here. Sorry, Brits that are watching, but especially over here, we're very suspicious. And if something's that easy, people think, "No, it's a scam. It can't be right. It's too easy."
That's a good point. That's a good point. Very good point.
And
Okay.
you know,
Well,
you will always be able to go to a supermarket and buy a T-shirt for like £4, but that T-shirt won't have the cover of your book on it. It won't have what you've, your one line that just absolutely sums up your book, or whatever it is you want to get out there. This is personal, special, bespoke.
got it. If our viewers and listeners have some questions for you, Joe, where could they find you?
So you can always find me at anything at Joe Wildsmith, basically. There's not that many Joe Wildsmiths out there. So
Right?
yeah, that's my website,
Okay.
joewildsmith.com. You can email me directly there, but also you can find me. My YouTube channel is currently going through a revision, but you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn, Joe Wildsmith, everywhere, basically.
And you've got all the links from your website where they could find you on all the socials and
Yeah,
whatnot.
absolutely. In fact, if you go to joewildsmith.com and you go on, I think it's called everywhere or links to everything in the menu bar, you will find the lot.
Okay.
And I always make sure that's up to date.
Okay. Well, this has been a lot of fun. And I knew we were going to cover a lot of ground, and I also knew that we weren't going to get to every single question.
Yeah, I bet we didn't get through half of them.
I try, but it's impossible.
Better than running out.
Yeah, they always go by so fast, surprisingly fast. Like when we start these conversations, I think, okay, we're 5 minutes into it. And the next thing I know, it's like we got 5 minutes left, and it's a lot of fun, especially when you have a fun guest to talk to. I want to thank our viewers out there. And everybody, if you like this episode with Joe, if you could do us a favor and share this episode with your author friends, we really, really do appreciate that. You can also see who's coming up in future episodes by bookmarking d2dlive.com. And if you are investigating self-publishing, perhaps for the first time, why not go to draft2digital.com and sign up for an account? Start playing with the tools, see how to publish an ebook, play with our print-on-demand features to see how easy it is to upload your book and put it into a template and get that book out into the world. And finally, I wanted to say thank you to Joe. It's probably dinner time or past dinner time out there for you in London. Your time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it certainly is. Thank you so much for having me. I've absolutely loved it. Thank you.
Oh, it's been a joy. And I want to thank our viewers out there. I see some familiar names out there joining us again, week in and week out. So thank you guys for trusting us with your time. I also noticed some new names out there joining us for the first time. So thank you guys. Welcome. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Come back and see us sometime, Joe.
Oh, I certainly will do. I'm sure I can talk about loads more things about print on demand. We'll do the second half of your questions.
Right. Well, hang out backstage and
so
grab a drink. And for everybody else, we hope to see you here, same time, same place next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draft2digital.com.